So I was in the office on Friday and I was talking to an agent about one of her listings. She said, "Hey, what do you think about what's going on? How should I list it?" I go, "Look, the rates are still going up. Demand's getting crushed. You better sell it quick. Price it aggressively. Advertise seller credits, buying down points, anything to get as many buyers as possible in, because they are disappearing and disappearing fast. And we're going to see 8% rates, and we could probably see double digit next year if the Fed doesn't change course. And I don't think they will, because of CPI is still going to be high, and potentially even going higher because of the next few months of the holiday seasons and energy prices going up. So I was telling her that, and at that moment, this other agent, a veteran agent, which I respect completely. She's a very good agent, very successful, 30 years experience. She jumps up and she goes, "Oh, what are you talking about? You don't have my experience. I've seen it all. And people bought homes in 1981 and 1980 at 16, 18%. You don't know what you're talking about." Okay, yeah, I respect my elders, but she was completely wrong. 1981 were a better time to buy a home than today. Uh, we had so much going on in 1981 that was still positive. First off, okay, inflation was high. That's true. But when you put money in the bank, you didn't lose money. Uh, Rates, CDs, savings accounts, money markets were slightly above inflation, so you didn't lose money. So you actually made money in the bank. Today, what are you getting in a savings account? 0.5%. Well, inflation is at 8.3, so you're losing like 7.8%. Yeah, so it's a completely different world. Back then, people had savings, a lot more savings, and they didn't have saving that was created by stimulus checks, for savings from a pandemic, and forbearance on a bunch of things uh, and like not paying your rent, not paying your mortgage, not paying your car payment, or college debt, and certain things. Yeah, so we had fake savings the last year and a half, and all that savings has pretty much gone. Back then, people actually saved, and they saved, and they put money down on homes. Uh, Compared to today, in 1981, most people, the median was over 20%. Today is 12%. And it's not just 20% versus 12%. It's 20%, 12% versus what? Well, the median home was $60,000. It was about 3.5 times income, because income was about 19,000. So you bought a home, you put 20% down, $60,000. So basically, you had a debt of 48,000, and you paid 16, 18% on that, on 48,000. Today, you're buying a home. You're buying a home for $500,000, right? So you're carrying a $440,000 debt at 7, soon 8%, and then 9. You do the math. It's pretty clear. Paying 18% on 48,000 is a lot smaller than paying 7.5% on 400,000, 440,000. So yeah, it's a completely different world. Another thing that was completely different in 1981 was the tax code. Back then, you had personal interest deduction, so you could actually deduct interest on everything. Uh, your mortgage, your car, your credit card, personal loans, college debt, you name it, you could deduct it all. Imagine if you could do that today. Imagine your $1,000 average car payment in the Washington, D.C. area. You could deduct like $800 of interest. Would you feel richer? Oh, a whole lot. Now you have your standard 25,000 deduction. You're not taking out your interest on your mortgage. Imagine like all the interest you pay on your college debt. If you could deduct it, would you feel richer? Would you be able to afford the down payment on a home? Yeah, probably you'd be People will be going out, lining up to buy homes right now if they could deduct all of their interest. Back then you could, so they could buy homes. But even back then, home prices were flat and were negative adjusted with inflation for several years. And home sales fell 50% and they didn't recover for several years. So it was hard then, but not as hard as today by far. So 1981 were better than today by far. The affordability is out of the window. There's no way people can afford 7.5% with the cost of living, which is 3 times higher than back in 1981. The amount of savings that they have today compared to then, 2 to 2.5 times was greater in 1981. The amount of home prices is ridiculous. You went from 3.5 times income to price to now like 7, 8, 9 times. I see some neighborhoods in Washington D.C. where you have the average income is like $100,000, and the cheapest home in the block, which is not even a great neighborhood with good schools, it's like $750,000 or $800,000. And people can't save, so they have to take $600,000 worth of debt and pay 7%, 8% on that. No, I'm sorry. 48,000 was so much better in 1981. So I think we need to put the rest in 1981 story. It makes zero sense. 81 were better. I wish I had a time machine. Go back in the future. DeLorean. McFly.